there. How are you? My name is Brianna. Welcome to the weekly vlog and Bible study. Here's the weekly vlog. Hi.
Look at that. Oh, geez. Oh, nice shot. Oh, geez. Look at that. In. Beautiful. Yeah, that's a good one. You're down there.
Yeah.
Say hi. Now it's time for... Today we are talking about things that God does. 1 Corinthians 5 verses 3 to 9. What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants through whom you believed, as the Lord assigned to each. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither he who plants nor he who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. He who plants and he who waters are one, and each will receive his wages according to his labor. For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field, God's building. Paul is writing this letter to the church in Corinth. They began to split over the issue of who they followed, Paul or Apollos, another Christian and teacher. Instead of focusing on what each man was saying, the Corinthians were focused on how they were saying it, who was the better preacher, and who they would follow. And Paul is trying to tell them that neither he or Apollos is God. Paul and Apollos are merely people who are sharing the gospel. God is the one they should be following. Paul and Apollos are teaching and instructing, but God is the one who is saving and changing hearts. As Christians, we are called to share the gospel. But when we begin to think that sharing the gospel all depends on us and our ability to share, problems arise. 1. We get prideful. Sometimes people in the church judge themselves and others on how good of a Christian they are by how many people they're getting to turn to Christ. And while our goal in sharing the gospel is to see others saved and we want to reach as many people as possible, we have to remember that God is the one doing the saving. It's like, instead of being so thankful for the pipes in our house that bring us water, those pipes, we should be thankful for the water. Instead of giving the credit to evangelists, we should worship God because He died for us, rose again, and He has the power to save us and defeat death. When we get prideful, we think of ourselves more highly and more important than we ought. And we focus more on how good the preacher is instead of the whole point of sharing the gospel, like the Corinthians did. 2, we are too scared to share the gospel. What if I mess up? What if I say the wrong things? What if they don't turn to Christ? Again, we are merely seed planters and waterers. If we think saving someone completely depends on us and how good of a speaker we are, we're completely forgetting the power of God. No, that person you're telling about Christ may not become a believer. But you planted a seed in their life and you're following God's commandment to share the gospel. So don't put all the weight on your shoulders. It is by the power of God that someone was, is, and will be saved. Now we've been talking about the person who shares the gospel. But what about the one who hears it? How does this relate to that? Well, when I think about God being the one to make us grow, I think about my own relationship to Him and how I've done nothing in order to achieve my own salvation. Now, I may wrongly begin to act as though it depends on me. I've caught myself trying to be this perfect person, and I've been prideful about being a Christian. But really, it's not about us. God is the one who created us. God is the one who came up with a plan to save us from our sin. He is the one that died for us. He rose again. God is the one who calls us to Him and gives us life. He is the reason for our salvation. If we put our salvation in our hands, we will only be frustrated because we will try to be perfect and will always fail. We will live in fear, thinking that if we make one wrong mistake, God won't love us anymore. But if we put our salvation in God's hands, we will be safe forever. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me I will never cast out. Praise God for all that He does for us. Alright, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye! I just hit the microphone. Can you hear that? That's a loud helicopter. I forgot to push record. John 6:37. John 6:37. Please subscribe. Almost.